You need to try and pick off the units as... Look at the shields on the mark.
Oh my god, the drone's gonna take him!
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Shakuras Plateau, and I bring you Nerchio. He's in the red trunks, and he is playing the one and only Zerg up to the northeast versus his opponent. It's GoOdy! He's in the purple trunks, and he is playing Terran to the southwest.
And I think this is Nerchio's biggest online tournament he's ever going to play in. Or not ever going to play in, but has played in ever before.
Up to this point,
and,
certainly.
yeah, indeed. So I feel that this is his real time to shine, and probably the stepping stone before he enters the LAN scene.
I would think so. If Nerchio doesn't start entering the LAN scene soon, then not only will he be doing himself a disservice, but he'll be doing us, the spectators, a disservice.
Yes, and he'll be doing the other players a service, because they will not have to face him.
Terrifying. Bear in mind, though, LAN play is very, very different to online tournament scene. It'll take him a long time to get used to that.
Oh, yeah, indeed. I think the best example of that is Delphi from Germany. You know, very, very nervous child, you could say, because he's never been to a LAN before. He's only very young, too. But slowly getting over that, it's going to take him a long time to do so. Another
when he does, he'll be a monster.
Another example is Huck.
Yep.
All right, so he started off in the ESL IEM and did horrible, lost in the group stages. Nothing was right for him, his settings, his chair, but now he's a monster.
Yes, he is a monster. Not a monster, a monster.
Monster.
The question is which monster. GoOdy with the engineering bay denial of the expansion right here. That is a pain, considering Nerchio has not started his pool. He was not expecting that.
Yeah, and it looks like he probably will just go for the spawning pool. I don't think he even saw it initially because he sent out a scouting drone.
Yeah.
And then he actually was like, oh, okay, build a few more drones and get the spawning pool first. Do as much harassment as possible. GoOdy trying to, well, get as long... What was it? 683. That's not too bad, really, because usually you'll kind of have to pull off a lot sooner. But that's quite high for GoOdy.
Yep, that's going to take a while to beat through as well, and that is completely screwed with Nerchio's style, which actually gives credence, in my opinion, to the fact that these guys have played a lot and are actually well aware of what each other is capable of doing and what they tend to do. So that's an adaptation by GoOdy there.
And GoOdy did cut an SCV just a little bit by a few seconds to get this wall up and running, and that's basically to hide what he's doing. I think he's just going to go for a fast expand anyway, but why would you want to show that? And the SCV gets away with 5 HP after taking a bit of harassment. And what will GoOdy decide to do with this SCV? Maybe just control Zel Nogatar, wait until the Marine's out, then try to come back in. But Drone is smelling blood.
No, he misses it. No, it's not going to happen. GoOdy is nicely out of there. And there we go. A wall-off has been completed. That engineering base still sitting there. And, of course, that's completely forced a change in strategy for Nerchio. But Nerchio is a very adaptive player. He can deal with this quite nicely. The problem is that, of course, that speed upgrade has been delayed. He got the late gas, he got the late pool as a result of this blockade right here. It's going to even take him a little while to work his way through this.
And GoOdy now hits 400 minerals and we thrown down that command center inside his base. And a nice opening from GoOdy, denying the expansion of Nerchio and then following up by a fast expansion of himself. And he is going to go inside the main. Great scouting by GoOdy. And we'll be able to see, is there a Roach Warren, is there a Baleen Nest, anything early that I need to worry about? He's going to go ahead, see there's no gas, or see there's no drones in gas, and we'll be like, cool, that's nice, man. And doesn't have to rush for siege tanks or anything like that.
Yeah, Nerchio has actually started playing a very sort of Korean style in terms of what he does with his gas. You'll have noticed that July Zerg does this an awful lot. He's very precise with the amount of gas that he uses. He puts in enough for the speedling upgrade and then doesn't do anything else for a while. He stays on exactly 0 gas. He's now put a single drone into the extractor, and we'll see what he decides to do from there.
And GoOdy's going to play pretty much safe. He's going to get the double refinery now, then transition into a fast factory and get siege tanks up pretty soon so he can take the expansion safely. But before then, he's going to get an orbital command inside his base, start using SCVs from that to build up his economy, build up the saturation, and then transfer healthy. Even a scan into the main base of Nerchio to get some confirmations. He did see, well, he sees only 2 in gas as well, and another queen being made, so he knows he's safe. He might even move down earlier.
We'll find out. The first factory coming up for GoOdy, who uncharacteristically holds it back for a while, but that's to be expected considering he's going for that expansion. He is certainly ahead of Nerchio right now, simply because he got his expansion up much earlier. And needless to say, the Terran really shouldn't be ahead of the Zerg at this stage, but he is. He has less SCVs, but the mules more than make up for that.
Yeah, indeed. And surprisingly, Nerchio throwing down a spine crawler. I'd would have expected to see him go for a very fast third base, especially knowing the style from GoOdy. And he's going to come in now and get the scanning information, see what's happening. He's going to scout the factory. And will he get the other factory, though?
We're about to find out. He does. He grabs it. Yep, he has the vision on that one. That's going to be useful. To be fair, that really is about as surprising as walking into a toy store and seeing toys when you go into GoOdy's base. Oh my god, GoOdy's building factories. What a shocker. But regardless, it's useful information to have nonetheless in terms of the timing of it.
The most surprising thing here is that there's 3 factories very early from GoOdy, completely cutting out any, well, future marine production is just going to go all into mech. And,
wow.
Well, guess what?
we're not really all that surprised by that. Admittedly, he's going to have to do something about cleaning up these Zerglings at the bottom. They're trying to deny the expansion. Only 4 Marines moving in, which will not be enough, especially not with the speed upgrade. Nerchio's not willing to go in. He will block this off. Or perhaps... Oh, there you go. He's able to stop that. Oh, no, he's not. Well, that is actually surprising. He's going to start working on it, but it'll take a while to get through that.
Yeah, and Nerchio really can't go for a Spire play like we usually see, simply because against mech, you're going to have to get roaches out to help defend against the Blue Flame. When a big engagement comes, you don't really want to have Ling and Mutalisk against Blue Flame, Hive, and Thor.
No,
so he's going to go for a lot of roaches, I feel. Get that roach speed ASAP, get Burrow, maybe even Tunneling Claws. And he can't even go for a fast third simply because of Hellion harassment. And he can't really defend until he gets these roaches out.
Yep, I would imagine up until this point he's going to be looking for heavy creep spread, try and take major control of the map, and obviously get that mobility against those Hellions, which are going to prove to be an absolute thorn in the side of his opponent right here. I mean, that's 6 Hellions already, with the Blue Flame upgrade coming in. We've got more gas on the way for GoOdy, which is to be expected. He needs it to support this heavy mech style, and he'll no doubt be looking to expand again at some point in the not-too-distant future. Now, Nerchio with an Overseer in the corner of the base, so he's going to get a lot of good scouting information there, but he hasn't scouted the 3rd factory yet.
No, not yet, but he will do very shortly, and we'll also get the Armory Scout too. And now we do have the Blue Flame Hinds moving around the map, going to check for that 3rd base. And 8 roaches about to pop out, though, so should be able to defend against this.
I shouldn't think that would be too much of a problem, man. He could take some creep tumors right here, but he's not going to do that. Roach is moving to intercept, and GoOdy unnecessarily really losing a bunch of Hellions, so there's nothing really going to be happening there. Overseer going in to scout that. He's going to see the Armory, he's going to see the Tech Lab, so he's pretty happy about both of those things. And we've also got a Starport on the way up right here for GoOdy.
And he does contaminate the factory, slowing down the tank production. And meanwhile, adding on 6 more roaches. I think he should probably halt roach production for now and go back to drones. He's only at 50, and he needs to be hitting that 60, 70 plus mark. And there we do see another round of drones coming out. So he's going to go back to drones for a little bit. Infestation pit not too far away from finishing, and also an Evo chamber so we can start to begin that missile attacks.
Yeah, in that little bit of run by scouting right here by Nerchio's Overseer, he actually did spot the Starport, so that's an interesting piece of information that he managed to grab. He was quite close, and he grabbed it there. Viking on the way out, we can expect to see a little bit of initial harassment against Overseers and, of course, Overlords. Always nice to pick those off for free, and right now you can see that Nerchio really has no way to stop that from happening, so that's going to be a little bit stressful. We've got the Pathogen Glands upgrade, so we see Infestors coming in from Nerchio, and Thor's on the way out for GoOdy as well. Neural Parasite against GoOdy has got to be a major headache.
Oh yeah, definitely, and that's definitely the key to beat GoOdy, is to control the Siege Tank, control the Thors, so you can basically control his entire army and kill itself. But the Overseer does come in again, does see the timing of that 3rd command center. And the way he's going to use the Viking now is to clear out any excess Overlords. Can also use it to scout, and he might even open up some kind of drop path. So it clears Overlords out from one way, and then follows up with a Medivac and some Blue Flame Hellion drops. We'll have to see. 5 Infestors now and a lot of Lings, and this is Nerchio style. Does not really go for that Mutalisk, even if his opponent wasn't going mech. He does love this Roach Infestor Ling style.
Yeah, he does. I'm interested to see that he actually hasn't gone with +1 melee, which is very common for this style. I think he's adapting to what his opponent's doing, really. He's focused more on armor as well as the Neural Parasite upgrade, which is coming in for those Infestors. He has expanded as well to the north of this particular map, so he's sitting now on 4 bases versus the 2 of GoOdy. And as you said before, GoOdy does tend to hang around on 2 bases for a very long time, which can be disadvantageous if Nerchio decides to really go crazy on it. We've got what looks to be a Hellion drop coming in from GoOdy at the bottom there, and GoOdy also snipes off an Overlord in the process. So this base at the bottom, not so vulnerable to that. We've got a Spine Crawler coming up, and we've got a large number of roaches prepared there.
Yeah, Nerchio's seen this before. I mean, he knows what's coming, so he's already anticipating it with just the roach placement now. And will GoOdy be able to do anything here? I don't know. It's going to be pretty tough.
I don't think so, honestly. Not with the Spine Crawler up and with the roaches prepared for that. And you can see that Nerchio's creep spread is characteristically fantastic. That's what you would expect from Nerchio. He likes his mobility and he gets it very easily. Nerchio moving in, he's already dealt with one Hellion before it even gets it to the base, so GoOdy needs to get out of there immediately. And we're seeing, once again, this trademark Hive upgrade backed up by the Spire. That will immediately, as far as I'm concerned, become a greater Spire, and we will see Brutal Orb play, which will prove to be problematic for GoOdy.
The one problem with Nerchio's creep spread, I think he's a little bit too one-dimensional. It should be focusing about getting these, well, if you look at the map, just by the north, Xel'Naga Tower should be controlling these, killing the rocks, simply because units aren't doing anything at the moment anyway, and it's going to help this type of army that Nerchio's trying to create, for run-bys, to counter-attacks, to surround, and he doesn't really want to fight head-on too much against this army.
Yep, I wouldn't want to do that either. That is very expensive, but he is looking for the Great Aspire. It has begun right now. The Zerg melee attack upgrade is late, uncharacteristically so. For him, he does tend to get that melee attack upgrade nice and early, because it does help with initial harassment, but I suppose he didn't bother because he really knows he can't do much with those Zerglings. I mean, what is he going to do? Throw them at the tanks? What's the point?
And look at the timing of GoOdy. You're getting a reactor on the starport already, and simply because he knows the timing, he knows that Broodlords should be coming soon, so he's going to start Viking production quite shortly. And nice upgrades from GoOdy though, +2 weapons being created, and also +2 vehicle plating.
Yep, Nerchio hates those rocks, as you can tell, and he will attack them with fury, and that's what he's doing right now. Going to bring those down. Spit, spit, spit. Yes, indeed. It's like hooligans on match day. What can I say? Melt his way through the rocks, and this expansion potentially vulnerable to a little bit of roach harassment.
Especially behind the refineries, I think, is probably the biggest location he could go to. I'm not sure if he will, though. If he controls the Xel'Naga Tower and sees that location, I'm sure he'll try for it.
Nerchio's creep spread is actually ridiculous. I just want to point this out. Even though he hasn't spread to the north, he is almost at GoOdy's base. In fact, he's going to see that command center coming up. What great visibility he's going to get, and what great access in the meantime. In comes the sneaky, sneaky little Infestor, and the question is, will it be able to land any good fungal growth? That's what it's looking for. Oh my, that hurts. That's going to hurt the economy of GoOdy an awful lot. Mass detonations, that's the entire mineral line cleaned out pretty much.
Wow, and they just get out there for free.
Yeah, I'm just leaving.
A little bit bad position by GoOdy there, especially when playing mech. You need to kind of abuse that, and just left it wide open. A nice, easy movement by Nerchio there. The Broodlords now are being morphed. Do we have the Vikings? We have 2 Vikings in production, and just 1 out so far, so 3 in total very shortly. Not quite enough yet, though, especially against these Infestors. The thing I'm missing from GoOdy is the Ghost Academy. You need to have Ghost to play against this Zerg, otherwise it's just going to be too hard.
Yeah, you can't deal with the Infestors without the MP. It's just as simple as that. Nerchio now battering his way through there, looking for more opportunities. GoOdy has a scouting barracks there, and we did see that command center. I would imagine he's going to put that to the north as opposed to try and take it down the bottom right there. But once again, Nerchio looking for access routes, and because this version of the map does have the back rocks, a attack with Zerglings and Roaches into this back right here could be extremely painful.
And 3 Hellions or 4 Hellions do try to come through, just on the right-hand side of the map here, but are cleaned up just by a simple fungal growth and Broodlord cleanup. But now GoOdy does know the composition. He knows exactly what's going on, knows the upgrades as well, which are currently 1-1, soon to be 2-2. And now Nerchio moving through. Has he got the force to beat up GoOdy?
That takes a lot of doing. There are 6 Vikings on the field, and actually Nerchio is lacking any real kind of anti-air defense otherwise. I mean, he has a few Corruptors, but not exactly what I call a critical mass. So GoOdy should be able to hold this quite easily, I would think, as long as he can keep the Broodlords off the tanks.
Yeah, and he's got to, well, he can't really move in too much with the Infestors because of the tanks as well, so he can't really get any key fungal growths off. But Nerchio trying to find a weak area, see if he can pick off anything useful.
Big Viking firepower coming down right there. Picks a Broodlord out of the air very easily. The Corruptor count is not as high as I would like against those Vikings. I've got to say, there are more Vikings to follow it up. He looks for a little bit of Infestor play. He's not able to land anything. There is the Neural Parasite, and there's a lot of it as well. Big fire coming down. That entire... Oh, wow. The entire Thor force is being grabbed right here. And that's going to be problematic because that Viking force will be torn out of the sky.
But there's just not enough Corruptors, no fungal growths on these Vikings, and all the Broodlords almost go down, and finally a fungal growth. But I just think Nerchio's not controlling his army too good, and the position of GoOdy's is awesome. Yeah,
it really, really is. GoOdy's positioning is second to none, and those Corruptors will be picked off eventually with more Viking fire streaming down, trying to bring that Broodlord down before it's able to annihilate the Thors. I think it's the Thors have +2 armor already. He's actually gone heavy upgrade style this time around, which is not something he usually does. but in this case, he really is going for it. And that +3 armor is really helping against the Broodlings. They're barely touching.
And now he's actually switching over to Viking upgrade. Ship 1 levels is being researched, and also the plating for ships 2. So Viking's going to be a lot stronger. The problem with GoOdy is that he's so slow with his APM that he's not really keeping up with economy. He needed to take that 4th base while that attack was going on, and he's slightly fallen behind in the economy right now. Look at it, 74 drones versus 71 SCVs. That's good. But GoOdy's main base is almost mined out. GoOdy's natural is almost mined out. His 3rd base is not too far away from doing either, so he is falling behind a little bit.
GoOdy's Army of Doom, however, is hell marching out of his base and is now looking to engage Nerchio. The question is, will he be able to do that? With that many Thors, I think it's very, very likely. He's got 5 and he's got 14 Vikings to back that up. I mean, those Broodlords are going to be sniped out the air very fast. The Infestor count is very high, however, and I'm concerned about Neural Parasite play right here. One goes on, but the Thor's immediately annihilated. Second one coming in right here. That's the problem. He's able to divide and conquer right there. A good fungal in the middle of that. He's looking for a cleanup. Does he have the firepower, however? Those Broodlords getting torn out of the sky very easily, and GoOdy should be able to clean this up, but he's taking a lot of damage in the process.
48 Lings in productions. Vikings land to clean up the rest of these roaches, even though GoOdy took a big hit there. I don't know if he can reinforce well enough. Vikings do survive, though, which is very important, especially fighting against Broodlords. And now, basically, Nerchio can't make Broodlords anymore because he's lost the air battle versus these Vikings. He's going back to basically Ling Infestor.
Yeah, which will be fine, considering there's a lack of siege tank deployment, and these Zerglings just annihilate everything there, and then run into a wall of fire. Nice play there. GoOdy brings in 14 Hellions with Blue Flame upgrade and +2. Consider how much damage that is. It's absolutely absurd.
And GoOdy needs to clean the creep up, basically. He needs to get a few scans down, and with the creep up and gone, that would be so much better for him. Though he's doing very well in this game, I'm very surprised to see GoOdy doing so well against this very, very hard style of Nerchio.
Yeah, we saw GoOdy working out the new counter to Roaches, which actually is Hellion, as it turns out. So there you go, completely standard. And GoOdy, now with control of the middle of the map, needs to really break out a Raven, I feel, and start to smash this creep advantage, because the amount of mobility that Nerchio has got and the scouting information is ridiculous. And Nerchio knows exactly where his opponent is, and he can try and outflank him. So that is risky.
And GoOdy controlling the middle. He does have turrets, though, which are going to help to clean out these, this creep spread. But as you said, the left-hand side is very creeped up.
Yeah, it is quite the highway going all the way through to this base of GoOdy right here. Good scouting information has been acquired. Now, Nerchio not willing to go in just yet. He has walled off with a selection of spine crawlers that will, of course, only really delay Hellion attacks. They're not going to delay the tanks all that much. But right now, look at this. Exploiting the fact that these back rocks are down, he is looking to go for the rear of GoOdy's base out of position right now. So he could go for it. He could do good damage. He
could indeed. But, I mean, just Lings, a few Hellions are going to be able to clean this up with a couple of siege tanks. GoOdy could very well push forward now with everything and clean the middle of the map. We'll have to see how this is. Hellions are here now. A siege tank is being brought forward as well. Will siege up here to help defend against it. Will the rocks go down in time?
Yeah, well, the Roaches are looking to follow it up, so it looks like he might be able to do something. And GoOdy trying to wall off right here with the barracks, and it's a good wall off, actually. He's able to stop most of the Lings getting through. The siege tank cleans up the rest of it. He will probably lose it eventually, but those Roaches are in the base, and GoOdy's going to have to do something to respond to this one.
And he's pulling a lot of units back, a lot of Hellions, and a couple of tanks are going to help out defend this. Medivac dropping a Thor in the main base too. And these Roaches are going to go down. Not really doing that much damage, killing a few SCVs, but there's no SCVs really to be killed. Just the ones left in the gas, which GoOdy needs to replenish straight away.
Yeah, GoOdy countering Roaches with Hellions again, and it's actually working, unbelievably. It's because of the +2 upgrade and the AoE of them in those large groups. You can actually clean them up. It takes a bit of work, but obviously with some tank and Thor support, it works out quite nicely. We've got more Corruptors coming on the field right now for Nerchio, who is looking once again for the big Broodlord play.
Yeah.
But there are 12 Vikings on the field, and they are +1/+1, so that helps out an awful lot.
The problem which Nerchio keeps running into, usually this style is quite easily done, but there were too many Thors before, and he really couldn't use Corruptors very well. But now the Thor count is so low because he kept neural parasiting them that he can easily switch back now to go into Broodlords and Corruptors. And combined with some good fungal growth and some good neural parasites should be pretty good to do. But look at this, a drop down in the south location now. 5 Hellions coming in.
That's a lot of damage, but it's been immediately intercepted right here by the Roaches. And GoOdy able to snipe off a good number of drones right here. He goes in the engagement, obviously throws the Hellions away, but it's not bad, certainly. Drone count is now sitting at 72 versus 65, and both of our players are currently very close to or entirely maxed out in terms of army supply.
Typical GoOdy style, so typical. Just cutting the map in half, trying to suffocate your opponent via harassment. And just not moving out the middle of the map. This guy never crosses the halfway line.
No, he does not. And that Corruptor count is really large. And those Hellions are going to take a beating from those Broodlords. He needs to back off immediately. 23 Corruptors on the field with +2 armor. That gives him an armor of 4, which is already... that is a huge amount of damage taken away from the Vikings that obviously have that 2-shot system. So you're looking for not a lot of damage at all. And those Hellions could, of course, get very easily nailed down by a fungal growth. There are now 9 Infestors? Yes, that's a big count.
Roaches do try to come in the back door, but do get pushed away. 2 siege tanks in great location. Now Nerchio pushing through. He's got a good amount of Corruptors, good amount of Infestors and Broodlords. Maxed out at 200. +3 armor being researched now for these Broodlords. Going to be so hard to kill. And,
it's very rare to see that +3 flyer upgrade. It really, really is. And Nerchio with the air style right now, it's working quite well. +2/+2 coming in for GoOdy, who's producing 6 Vikings at once. He's going to need a lot of Vikings to deal with this number of Corruptors, especially with that kind of armor count on them, I've got to say. A nice fungal growth there by Nerchio, locking down a large number of Hellions and annihilating them. But this is what he's got to go up against. That is a wall of pain.
Indeed it is, and now he's going to try to come in against it. These Vikings almost at 2-2, not too far away. He's got to be so careful about fungal growth stuff. These get locked down, these Vikings, it's game over.
A big volley of missiles right here from GoOdy as he attempts to defend against this Broodlord harassment. He must do it. I mean, his focus really has got to be the Broodlords. If he can take the Broodlords down, he'll be in a great position. But if he's not able to do that, then he is going to get crushed right now.
So many Vikings.
So many Vikings. 24 Vikings in total. A huge number right now as he smashes his way through there, but he's focusing on the Corruptors instead. The Corruptor count, however, is dropping like, oh, huge fungal right here. The right flank of GoOdy is now collapsing as a direct result of that. 24 down to 6 in a matter of about 5 seconds flat.
Wow, and even though GoOdy tried to spread them out, he spread them out in 3 clumps, which isn't enough.
No.
And the fungal growth still took them down. It looks like Nerchio is finally going to break through. Reinforcement Lings, 2-2 reinforcing Lings coming through, and that's it. GoOdy's army's gone. The Panzer General is knocked down to his knees.
Here comes the Infested Terrans with those upgrades as well on the armor. They're going to be difficult to deal with, and of course those Infestors have taken a pounding. And in the meantime, his Broodlord count's got really, really low, honestly. He now decides to focus on the one at the front as opposed to the one at the back, which is kind of unfortunate. But the army supply of GoOdy has taken a beating. There's no real question about that. He's only on 4 tanks right now who are desperately trying to defend against this continued annihilation that's been thrown at him by Nerchio. And there we go. In come the Infestors. There's no energy on them just yet. Nerchio going for the kill right here.
Yeah, and I'm sure that GoOdy knows he's beaten. He's just sitting there trying to recollect his thoughts, understand what went wrong in the game. And the one mistake there has to be Ghosts. Ghosts could have changed this around. Morphing Broodlords inside the base. Does not care.
Mana Broodlords, ladies and gentlemen, is what they are. Like, I'm just going to morph that out and deal with that, and then I'll morph them right back in again. Nerchio rolling all over GoOdy right now, and honestly, GoOdy doesn't have anything to come back from this with. GG, ladies and gentlemen. Well, we're talking about stamina games. I think that pretty much encapsulates it.
GoOdy, man. Never gives up, never surrenders, never moves out the other side of the map. And that is the game 1. Nerchio taking down game 1. But the biggest mistake has to be Ghost. Imagine if that big engagement with all those Vikings, and just imagine that fungal growth wasn't there.
Yeah.
You know,
fungal growth wasn't there, that would have been it. He would have been able to push that back, and while he was battered in terms of his economy, he probably could have held it. Whereas with those fungal growth annihilating at least 18 Vikings in about 3 seconds, that really was it. I mean, the Viking count was looking great as well for him. I've never seen so many Vikings on the field.
Indeed, and they were well upgraded to just about to be 2-2. That timing from Nerchio hit just before that as well, unfortunately, for GoOdy. But that's it. We're going to have to go into the second game. We're going to have to do it, John. We're just going to have to do it.
Yes, we are, and I have to wonder whether or not this one's going to be as long as that. We will find out, and we will be back very shortly. Folks, you're watching the IPL 2, brought to you by Total Biscuit and Mr. Diapollo. We'll be right back, folks. Don't go anywhere.